Hey y'all, it's Tranny Granny again, and I'm in here trying to do a little experiment to see my lighting and what I'm going to wear for my interview that you'll see on Sunday with Miss Julie. So I hope y'all be looking forward to that. I'm just wanting to see this top and jeans. Is that okay with my hippie glasses? Might put some love beads or something on. I'm trying to do that kind of a hippie chick look. A pushing 70 hippie chick. But you have to remember, I was living in the hippie days. And I like to dress that way with my fringe vest and my love beads. I did. So now with my groovy glasses. Well, since I'm sitting here, I thought I'd talk a little bit about a couple of my friends back in North Carolina. These were trans girls. Both of those were what I call my home girls because they were actually from my neck of the woods out in the country. One of them lived real close to me, but she lived in a different county, so I did not go to school with her. But the other one, I did go to school with her. So I'll start off with Diana. Diana was a couple years older than me. She was a pet groomer. And I had a poodle, and she groomed my poodle. And then we discovered that we were both trans women. We became good friends. And then when we found out that where we were originally from, because we both lived in Charlotte then, we said, hey, we started going and visiting her folks and stuff out in the country. And come to find out that her grandmother knew my people, my grandfather and all them from way back in the olden days. But we had a very close relationship. And after she got maturing age, she moved back home to be with her mother and help take care of her grandmother. And she opened a grooming business there. And she worked for many years. And she has recently passed away. And the other girl, her name is Miss Kasey. Now, I went to school with Miss Kasey. She was a year ahead of me. And I actually didn't know her while I was growing up because she was from town. And the school that I went to in elementary was in the country. So it wasn't until the 7th grade that I got anywhere near Miss Kasey. But I learned Miss Kasey real quick. Miss Kasey is a tiny, very light skinned, very Cherokee Indian looking black girl. We're talking about she was small and beautiful. And back then, of course, they wore the afros, and she wore a big afro, and looked just like a girl. Her face looked like a girl. She was tiny, little body. And she always had the biggest smile and was all animated as she'd go down the hall. And finally somebody, because she was a year grade ahead of me, so I really didn't know anything about her. And somebody said, look at that fag. I looked closer to see there wasn't any breast. Then I realized that Miss Kasey was one of the girls. But we never become friends in school. We knew each other. We would look at each other. And on one occasion, a bunch of us were in the gymnasium. I don't know if it was some kind of study hall or something. We all had to go in there from a class. And Miss Kasey was on these bleachers down from where I was with a couple of people. And people were down there picking on her. You know how they do. Boys calling her sissy and stuff. And she turned around, she says, why don't you pick on that one back there instead of picking on me? She was spilling the beans on me. So I always throw that at her every time we see each other through the years. And whenever she started going to the clubs and started transitioning and doing female impersonation shows, we became friends. And then sometime, 5 or 6, 7 years after all that transpired, I started going to beauty school. Not the first time, but the second time. The first time I graduated was before my transition. So I did not want a male record. So I said, easy enough, I'll go to beauty school again and use my legal records right now. I was still young. I don't know, about 22, something like that, maybe 23. And we happened to go to beauty school together. And nobody knew either one of us were twins. And we tried not to cut up too much in class. Of course, eventually the teacher said, you can't fool me, you've done this before. Because everything she was teaching me, I already knew it. So I finally had to say, yes, I did, but I didn't get my license. So I went ahead and done that. And we would hang out and do all kinds of fun things together. And since I know how old I am, and I know Miss Kasey. Miss Kasey's a year older than me, so y'all know she's old. But I'm going to put some pictures up here. She's beautiful still. She is. She's a pet groomer. She learned from Miss Diana. They were friends. She learned how to be a pet groomer. So for the last 30 years, she's been a professional pet groomer. But she still does her female impersonation shows on the weekends. She's mostly an MC now because, you know, she's up there in age. So I just wanted to do this shout out to Miss Kasey. I love you, girl, and I miss you. Tranny Granny signing off.